This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
And thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. A Carmel nonprofit has set their sights on reducing the suicide rate in young people in our area.
It's a pressing issue since the youth suicide rate has nearly tripled in the U.S. in the last decade.
Troy Washington talked with a mother who has a personal reason for helping those in crisis.
Erin Maynard came close to losing her son last summer.
Never in a million years would I thought that's what my family would be facing.
Maynard's son attempted suicide, but survived.
My son has suffered from anxiety and depression for a few years. He was diagnosed when he was about 9.
This story is not uncommon.
We know that 1 in 5 high school students in the state of Indiana in the last year has considered suicide.
According to the Center for Disease Control, 10 to 14-year-olds are taking their lives at an alarming rate. In fact, the number of suicides in the age group have nearly tripled in the last decade. Experts say it's becoming harder for young people to unplug. In fact, constant use of social media and smartphones is making it more difficult for them to cope with depression.
Bullying is so prevalent, and cyberbullying is prevalent.
Maggie Owen says since times have changed, how parents approach the topic has to change too.
My own son suffered, because I didn't know how to have those conversations with him.
Maynard realized in her case being direct might have made a difference.
I didn't know that I should be asking questions about suicide in particular.
She advises parents not to shy away from talking about it.
I think a lot of parents, including me, think that if they bring up the topic of suicide, that they're somehow introducing an idea to a child. That's not the case.
Working for you in Hamilton County, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Well, the nonprofit recently received a check from students at Fishers High School for nearly $8,000. The check will go toward putting on programs at schools in Hamilton County related to the topic of abuse and suicide. Well, it could soon be much easier to get help for yourself or a loved one in a mental health emergency. The Federal Communications Commission is taking comments today on a proposal for a system similar to 911. People would call 988 to immediately connect to the suicide prevention hotline and other mental health services. The FCC will vote on the proposal soon. It expects to have the system in place in about 18 months.
The saga of drug kingpin Richard Grundy appears to finally be over. The man whom prosecutors say operated a crime ring that led to numerous trials that ended without convictions was given a life prison sentence just hours ago on federal charges. Grundy and a group known as the Grundy Crew were linked to numerous crimes in years past, including several murders. Those charges were largely dropped by Marion County prosecutors, and the U.S. Attorney says that's what makes today's sentence an important day for the justice system.
I've been in this city with others fighting crime since 1994. And let me make this clear and unequivocal. This is as big a win as our criminal justice system has had in this city in the last 25 years.
Grundy's trial 4 months ago was held in Evansville. It was moved after an earlier mistrial in Indianapolis when it appeared that information on members of the jury was leaked, sparking fears of retribution against them.
RTV6 working for you and getting results. An Anderson man reached out to us after he spent 3 months waiting to receive his new Direct Express card in the mail. Marcus Randall used to get a paper check with his Social Security benefits, but he signed up for Direct Express to get his money direct deposited to the card. But when he didn't get the card, he tried calling Comerica Bank, the company that issues the card. He says that he kept getting the runaround. Today, our Nicole Griffin reached out to the Treasury Department and Comerica, and while she was doing that, Marcus received a phone call. A senior manager from Comerica apologized to him and said she is now working on getting him a new card.
Oh, I'm so glad she called you.
That was fast. You know how long I've been waiting on a phone call? I mean, just an answer.
By the way, people who receive Social Security or other federal benefit payments must sign up for an electronic payment option. The Direct Express card is recommended for people like Marcus who don't have a bank account. If you get a phone call from someone asking for donations to help local veterans, be careful. The Newton County Sheriff's Office says that residents are getting phone calls from a 285 area code. One caller insists on making donations by phone. The Sheriff's Office says that you should never give your banking or credit card information over the phone to anyone you don't know. A request to purchase gift cards, well, that's also a red flag.
Hopefully you saw this. You couldn't miss it. If you were looking to the west this evening, a nice burst of color on the horizon as the sun was setting on another basically cloudy day, but a few breaks in the cloud cover, obviously. There's the shield of gray. We'll battle the same thing tomorrow, but stay dry tonight and tomorrow. And these clouds will help a bit tonight, along with the south wind, keep temperatures from falling off as much. We were in the teens and low 20s this morning. 38 in Castleton, 32 in New Powell, 38 also up in Zionsville in Boone County. Temperatures statewide range from just the mid-30s to the mid-40s, as you can see in the southern portion of Indiana. This is the key, at least for the next 24 to 48 hours. A south wind that will push our temperatures to just above the average high for this time of year. Temperatures by 11 o'clock tonight consistently in the lower 30s with partly cloudy skies. Let's talk about your Friday. We'll start not as cold or warmer, whichever way you want to phrase it. 30 degrees in Indy. Some outlying areas a little cooler than that. Friday by noon, cloudy 41. Your afternoon high close to the mid-40s. We'll talk about chance for a rain-snow mix Saturday coming up.
Now to Capitol Hill, where lawmakers in the House Judiciary are in a marathon session to consider impeachment against President Trump. Democrats say the president abused his power and obstructed of Congress. ABC's Rachel Scott has the latest.
Committee will come to order.
The battle over impeachment triggering a blistering debate.
Our Republican colleagues are working overtime to try to convince us that we didn't see what we saw with our own eyes and we didn't hear what we heard with our own ears.
This amendment strikes Article 1 because Article 1 ignores the truth. 4 facts, 5 meetings. We've talked about it now for 3 months.
Today's hearing marks the next big step before the House votes on the articles of impeachment against the president. Democrats say the evidence is clear. Trump committed high crimes and misdemeanors, charging the president with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
Is any one of my colleagues willing to say that it is ever okay for a president of the United States of America to invite foreign interference in our elections? Not a single one of you has said that so far.
Democrats allege the president engaged in a pressure campaign, leveraging military aid for investigation into Joe Biden and his son. Republicans firing back, pushing to fold Hunter Biden into the narrative.
He could not resolve his own dispute with Hertz rental car over leaving cocaine and a crack pipe in the car.
I would say that the pot calling the kettle black is not something that we should do.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi pushing back against concerns that it will affect moderates in the party ahead of the 2020 election.
We are not whipping this legislation, nor do we ever whip something like this. People have to come to their own conclusions.
And if the House chooses to impeach President Trump, Republicans in the Senate are not looking to drag this out. They're looking at a possible trial of 10 days to 2 weeks with no witnesses. Rachel Scott, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation is helping one Indiana teen's dream come true.
19-year-old Preston Lewis is battling leukemia, and his wish was to be the CEO of a nonprofit organization. He has a passion for racing and motorsports, and today he launched his nonprofit called Off-Road Motorsports Youth Foundation. His goal is to make racing more accessible to kids battling cancer.
It helps you get a focus. It's a passion that a lot of people share, but don't know how to necessarily get involved. Without a lot of money or knowing somebody, it's hard to be involved in the racing industry. So we want to help give the kids that don't have those connections or those financial capabilities that option.
Preston's mother recently lost her battle with brain cancer, and he said he wanted to start the nonprofit in honor of her.
Coming up, a voice out of nowhere terrorizing your kids. This scenario all too real as hackers take control of home security cameras.
Plus, the new concoction that just might satisfy your craving for a cola and a coffee at the same time, when you'll be able to taste it for yourself.
Only on RTV6 News.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Yesterday at 7, we told you about a Mississippi family stunned to learn someone was spying on their kids through their home security cameras.
Well, it turns out this has happened several times this week to families across the country. More now from ABC's Marcy Gonzalez.
That
That is the sound of hackers.
It was coming from the camera.
Tapping into a Ring camera system in a Texas home.
Your account has been terminated by a hacker.
And demanding a ransom, according to the homeowner.
It really catches you off guard.
It is one of several cases reported just this week of strangers gaining access to Ring cameras, watching people inside their homes.
I'm your best friend. I'm Santa Claus.
In Mississippi, a mother horrified to learn of this unnerving encounter between an invisible intruder and her 8-year-old daughter.
You can do whatever you want right now. You can mess up your room. You can break your TV.
I can't even put into words how violated I feel. It really is my worst nightmare.
And in Georgia, someone remotely lurking on a woman as she went to sleep.
I can see her in the bed. Come on, look the up.
She and her boyfriend reporting the scare to Ring. The company telling ABC News, our security team has investigated this incident and we have no evidence of an unauthorized intrusion or compromise of Ring's systems or network. The statement goes on to say the company recently learned that some Ring usernames and passwords were stolen from an unrelated service and used to log into some accounts. They're encouraging customers to change their passwords regularly. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Police in Charlottesville, Virginia aren't driving any more Dodge Challengers. The last Challenger that was part of its fleet has been taken off the road and will be disposed of by June. Officials work to replace the cars after James Alex Fields used a Challenger in the August 2017 attack that killed Heather Heyer. He plowed into a crowd of counter-protesters at a Unite the Right rally. Police say the community then raised questions about officers driving the same car model. Fields was sentenced to life in prison after pleading guilty to 29 hate crimes in that attack.
Coming up, the battle against breast cancer may have just gotten a huge boost. We will tell you about a drug that targets the tumor like a missile.
Well, we mentioned dry tonight and tomorrow. May not be the case Saturday as a southern storm system winds up. I'll take you through the Indiana impact coming up.
Drive at Honda of Fishers.
A possible breakthrough in the treatment of breast cancer. Researchers say a new drug can target tumors like a missile. Researchers gave the drug to 184 patients with a certain type of breast cancer. They found that tumors shrink in about 61% of the patients. In 6%, the tumors disappeared altogether. The FDA is fast-tracking the drug's approval. It could be available as soon as next year. It will be used to treat patients with HER2-positive breast cancer, which accounts for about 20% of breast cancer cases. And if caffeine is what you need to get going, Pepsi says it's got you covered. Pepsi's new drink has twice as much caffeine as a regular soda. It's called Pepsi Cafe. The drink is a coffee-infused cola. It also comes in vanilla. It'll hit stores in the U.S. in April. Pepsi says cola sales have been flat for the last 2 decades. They also say people are looking for drinks that are functional, meaning they provide some nutritional benefits for energy.
That noise you heard was a light blowing in our studio. On your marks, get set, bake. Cake and bread are on the menu when 10 aspiring bakers from around the country step into the famous white tent to tackle their most important sweet treat yet. That's because it's all for the Great American Baking Show Holiday Edition. The series based on the UK hit, Back up, Mark. The Great British Baking Show showcases the bakers putting their most sweet and savory creations forward. We spoke to Spice Girl and host Emma Bunton about the competitiveness of making Christmas cookies and how it can get so competitive.
They were pretty tough this year, and they have asked the contestants to do some very, kind of out there stuff, some unusual things that I'd never even heard of. And so they really push the competitors, but I think that's what they're there for. They're there to learn. They're there to learn new things, try new things, and I'm just lucky that I just get to host and I get to taste, and, because I think it's pressure.
The 2-hour premiere of the Great American Baking Show Holiday Edition is tonight at 9 p.m. You can watch it right here on RTV6.
So with that big pop, as you mentioned, was the light.
That one right there.
When I was a kid, I would go to work with my dad all the time, 2nd and 3rd grade, and the lights were much hotter then, and that would happen frequently. And oftentimes you would get, the bulb would actually break, and you just shower these little bits of glass
there.
It's much safer in the studio these days. It makes your heart go.
You can't tell by my
Scared you, though,
reaction.
right? It scared you.
There you go.
Get your attention. Okay, as you look to the west, not the colorful sunset that we saw earlier, but still pretty nice evening across central Indiana. We're dry tonight. During the day tomorrow, we'll battle the clouds and lose. It will be mostly cloudy again, it seems. And then as we get to Saturday, a mix of some rain and snow can't be ruled out. I don't think it'll be widespread, certainly won't be heavy. And then we're colder and dry on Sunday. To give you the big picture of the Saturday storm system, be much stronger to the south and east, producing a lot more rain. As this winds up Friday morning, moves to the north and east. There we are Friday night, touching southeastern portions of the state. Then as we get to Saturday, starting to pull away. But you see, we're just on the northwest edge of this. Any movement in that may bring the rain shield back into portions of the state. We'll keep our eye on that. And it may mix with a little bit of snow as that colder air arrives. And you can see that there showing up in the northern half of the state on a Saturday. Temperature Saturday 41. That's the optimistic high temperature. Chance for rain snow mix at 40%, down to 24 on Sunday. We are dry Sunday afternoon. There's your rainfall and any snow included. These are very modest amounts, certainly under 1/10 of an inch. The way it looks right now. Temperature in Indianapolis at 37. A warmer night tonight. It was cold last night and this morning in the teens to lower 20s. Most areas will have steady temperatures by midnight or after, settling right around 30 degrees. During the day tomorrow, lots of clouds. The wind never too strong. It's out of the south. That will do its best to jump the temperature above the average high of 41. A few spots make it into the mid-40s. There's your weekend outlook. As we mentioned, Sunday, dry and colder of the 2 days. As we go through the morning hours on Saturday, 40 degrees by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. High temperature stays generally in the lower 40s. Sunday highs noticeably cooler. Still lots of cloud cover around, but we will be dry. Then we start talking about early next week. Storm system, again, will cut through the Midwest. The exact location and track of the storm to the left of the area of low pressure is where the colder air will sit. To the right, to the south and east is where warmer air will be. That means rain event. Looks like a rain-snow mix Monday morning. Then as we go to the afternoon hours, still rain for about 2/3 of central Indiana with snow to the north. Notice the snow area kind of lingers. It stays longer because the cold air is already in place, and that will bring the best shot of accumulating snow, I think, to northern Illinois, northern Indiana as well, and some light accumulating snow possible the rest of central Indiana. Tuesday is colder, 32. We're in the teens Wednesday morning, and Wednesday and Thursday dry with some sunshine. That's the next hurdle. When can we get some sunshine to really brighten things up?
And winter really starts on the 21st.
You got it.
All right. Thanks, Kevin, for that.
We'll be right back.
We have the meat.
Are you ready for some football? A rematch of Super Bowl 44 between the Colts and Saints on Monday Night Football right here on RTV6.
Our countdown to kickoff show begins at 7:30. Sports director Dave Furst, Brad Brown, and former Colt Ryan Deem will discuss the big matchup. And then the Colts and Saints kick off at 8:15. Again, this is Monday night on RTV6. Holiday cheer lit up the halls of Riley Hospital for Children. Santa stopped by to visit patients who can't be at home for the holidays. He visited with kids both big and small, dropping off toys from their wish lists.
Santa coming was a big surprise for Charlie. It's actually his first time meeting him, so he's pretty excited and a little shy, but it was awesome. Great experience here at Riley, so that was icing on the cake.
The patients were not only the ones joining the holiday tradition either. Santa also spent some time visiting with the hospital staff as well.
How sweet. The unique Christmas festival in downtown Indianapolis is now underway. St. John's Christkindle Village kicked off just a couple of hours ago with a parade of animals. That's the arrival of live nativity animals for the Christkindle Village, which is happening now until Sunday and is located on the west block of Georgia Street downtown. In addition to the nativity animals, there will be nativity characters played by IUPUI college students.
Our goal as a parish is to bring together community to share the authentic meaning of Christmas. Sometimes in the secular world, Christmas can kind of get lost of that Christ is the center, that we celebrate his birth and incarnation and our salvation through him.
St. John the Evangelist Catholic Church runs the Christkindle Village on Georgia Street. It's a German-themed Christmas festival with activities for people of all ages. Well, New Year's Eve may be more than 2 weeks away, but New York is preparing. The numbers that will light up the second the famous ball touches down to start 2020 arrived in Times Square Wednesday. 1 million people are expected to gather in the Big Apple to watch it happen live. Millions more will watch the iconic ball drop on live TV right here.
Can you believe it's almost 2020?
No, I remember the big 2000.
I remember that, yeah, with Y2K, yeah.
You got it. Okay, well, temperature tomorrow in the 40s. We cool it off as we go to the weekend. By Sunday, the coldest day of the weekend, in the low 30s. Temperatures next week will bounce around a little bit too, with temperatures back into the teens for lows by the middle of next week.
All right, that is it for us here on RTV6 News at 7 o'clock. Thanks for being here with us.
We'll be back at 11. We'll see you then. Good night.